Welcome to English Talk Avenue. Here, we learn history and life lessons through simple and clear English. Freedom and self-rule shaped the birth of the United States, and this idea did not appear in one day or one year. It grew slowly, through pain, struggle, hope, and courage. Long before the name, United States of America, existed, this land was already full of life. Native American tribes lived here for thousands of years. They respected nature. They hunted, farmed, and built communities. Each tribe had its own language, traditions, and beliefs. They governed themselves in their own ways. Freedom, for them, meant living according to their customs and staying connected to the land. Their lives were simple but meaningful, and their societies were balanced by shared responsibility and respect. In the early 1600s, people from Europe began arriving on this land. Most came from England, but others came from France, Spain, and the Netherlands. Many were escaping poverty. Some were escaping religious control. Others wanted land and opportunity. They crossed the ocean with fear and hope in their hearts. Life in Europe was hard for many people. Kings and queens held power. Ordinary people had little voice. When these settlers arrived, they faced hunger, cold, disease, and conflict. Many did not survive. But those who did slowly built small settlements. They worked the land. They built homes. They formed communities. At first, survival was more important than freedom. As time passed, these settlements grew into colonies. 13 colonies were formed along the eastern coast. They were under British rule. The King of England controlled them from far away. At first, Britain allowed the colonies some freedom. Local leaders managed daily life. Colonists held meetings. They made local rules. They felt a sense of independence growing inside them. They were far from England, and they learned to rely on themselves. This self-reliance planted the early seeds of self-rule. Over the years, the colonies became stronger. Farms produced food. Trade increased. Towns and cities grew. People began to feel that this land was their home, not England. They worked hard and believed they deserved a voice in decisions that affected their lives. However, Britain saw the colonies mainly as a source of money. After fighting expensive wars in Europe, Britain needed funds. The government decided to tax the colonies heavily. These taxes were placed on paper, tea, sugar, and many other goods. The colonists were angry. They did not have representatives in the British Parliament. They had no say in the laws made for them. The famous idea was born: no taxation without representation. This was not just about money. It was about dignity and rights. People believed that freedom meant having a voice. They believed that self-rule meant choosing leaders and making laws together. Protests began. People spoke in town halls. Writers published pamphlets. Ideas spread quickly. Freedom became a shared dream. One famous protest was the Boston Tea Party. Colonists dressed as Native Americans and threw British tea into the harbor. This act was bold and risky. It sent a clear message. Britain responded with punishment. Laws were tightened. Soldiers were sent. Tension filled the air. Fear and anger grew side by side. Families were divided. Some supported Britain. Others supported independence. There was no easy choice. Choosing freedom meant risking everything. In 1775, fighting finally began. The American Revolution started. Farmers, workers, and shopkeepers became soldiers. They did not have strong weapons or training. Britain had one of the strongest armies in the world. But the colonists had something powerful. They had belief. They believed in freedom. They believed in self-rule. They believed that no king should control their future. This belief gave them strength. The war was long and painful. Many lost their lives. Towns were destroyed. Food was scarce. hope was tested again and again. In 1776, leaders of the colonies made a historic decision. They wrote the Declaration of Independence. This document changed the world. It said that all people are born equal. It said that people have natural rights, like life and liberty. It said that governments exist to protect these rights, and when they fail, people have the right to change them. These words were dangerous at that time. Declaring independence was an act of rebellion. If they failed, they would be punished as traitors. But they signed anyway. They chose freedom over fear. The war continued for several more years. Help came from France and other allies. Slowly, the balance changed. In 1781, the British Army surrendered. The dream of independence became reality. In 1783, Britain officially recognized the United States as a new nation. Freedom had been won, but the work was not finished. Winning freedom is one thing. Protecting it is another. The new nation faced many challenges. 13 colonies had to become one country. People argued about power, laws, and leadership. They did not want another king. They did not want tyranny. They wanted a system that protected freedom and allowed self-rule. Leaders met and debated for months. They created the Constitution. This document defined how the government would work. Power was divided into branches. Leaders were elected. Laws were written to protect individual rights. The Bill of Rights was added later. It guaranteed freedom of speech, religion, and the press. It protected people from unfair punishment. These ideas were revolutionary. They showed that freedom was not just a word. It was a responsibility. Citizens had rights, but they also had duties. Self-rule required participation, honesty, and courage. However, the story of freedom was not perfect. Many people were excluded. Enslaved Africans were denied freedom. Native Americans lost land and lives. Women did not have equal rights. The idea of freedom existed, but it was incomplete. Over time, people fought to expand it. Abolitionists worked to end slavery. Civil rights leaders fought for equality. Women demanded the right to vote. Each struggle was painful, but each pushed the nation closer to its ideals. Freedom and self-rule continued to shape the country through wars, economic crisis, and social change. During the Civil War, the nation nearly broke apart. The fight was about unity and freedom. Millions suffered, but slavery was finally abolished. Later, during the Great Depression, people questioned the government's role. New policies were created to protect citizens. During the Civil Rights Movement, ordinary people stood up against injustice. They marched, spoke, and faced violence. They believed that freedom should belong to everyone. Today, the United States is still shaped by these ideas. Freedom of speech allows people to express opinions. Self-rule allows citizens to vote and choose leaders. These rights did not come easily. They were earned through sacrifice. They require care and responsibility. Freedom can be fragile. It must be protected through education, respect, and participation. The history of the United States teaches an important lesson. Freedom is not given freely. It is built by people who believe in it. Self-rule is not perfect, but it allows voices to be heard. When people work together, they can shape their future. This idea continues to inspire people around the world. If you enjoyed learning in simple English, please subscribe to my channel English Talk Avenue.